Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, we can sort of just start the day just by playing audio cuts.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
And I mean, I would just say this. You don't even have to, well, wait, we work incredibly hard. Nobody works harder than us. All right. There's my first statement. Now,
we really work hard.
The reality is today, I didn't have to do any work.
Yeah.
All I had to do.
They're making it easier.
All I had to do was go to social media.
Yeah.
And look what Democrats were saying. The audio, it's almost as if we're seriously, as if the Democrats are saying right now, every day, let's make sure that Eric and Gary's job is the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are getting old.
Yeah.
Especially that Gary guy.
Yeah.
He's getting old. We don't really want to tax him too much. Let's make it easy for Gary, okay?
Yes.
Because you're
easy
younger
for
than
Gary.
Me. Yeah,
I am.
You're younger. So
That's true.
I've
been told that.
You got a lot more energy.
Yes. I don't know about that.
I was going to say.
Let's not get carried away. Just get on with the audio cut, would you?
I was going to say, you look better.
Just play the audio.
All right, here we go. First.
All right.
First, not in necessarily in the order of importance or insanity.
Right.
All right.
Don't look at the insanity meter just yet.
I just sort of spun the wheel and went, okay. The first one landed for Kathy Hochul.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's Governor Kathy Hochul in New York.
All right.
Here we go. All right.
And being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who've stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay.
They were captives. They were captives. They were, listen, we're not letting Snake Plissken break any of them out. You cannot escape. They were captive. You cannot escape New York.
The other thing I liked, right off the bat, where she said, now we have these patriotic rich people that stepped up.
Yeah.
Well, now they've got to write a check.
Yeah.
It's like,
write the check.
Well, you're not stepping up unless you write the check.
Yeah.
So she's saying these patriotic. Now, I didn't know. Now, I will say this. I've lived in a ton of states. Okay?
Right.
And I can say states, when I lived in Oregon.
Yeah.
It was commonplace for people to say, I'm fifth generation Oregonian or sixth generation Oregonian, or my family was native Oregonian. I don't know how much it's used today, but when I was there back almost 30 years ago, you heard that a lot.
Yeah.
And coming from New York as I did, I'm like, what does that mean?
How did you escape? Oh, that's right. You're poor. You're in radio.
And in Texas,
yeah,
you come to Texas, and there is, Texas pride.
Yeah,
there really is.
Yeah.
I have never, ever, and I'm from Western New York.
Never had New York pride.
I've never heard the concept of New York pride. There's city pride where people come from.
Right. Yeah,
for example, I mean, if you're from Buffalo, Western New York, you're a Bills fan. I mean, the pride. Yeah. Now, so many people may hate what the government's doing, but there's the pride from the geographical area that you're from.
Right. In New York City, I'm from Queens or whatever. There's some of
right,
that. You hear
right,
some of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
If you're from, I'm trying to pick a place. Trying to pick a place that would be funny to say, and I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But I've never heard of New York State patriotism, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, except with Kathy Hochul, if rich people will voluntarily cut a check.
Right.
Because that's what she's asking.
No, and what's interesting here is she says, I think this started with the pandemic. Well, no, it didn't. It didn't. It started with, and you can go back to your, the former governor, and Cuomo pretty much had to do the same thing. Come on, help us round up all these rich people that went down to Florida and bring them home. I'll cook dinner for you, he said one time.
But
Come on.
It's the first time. Now, we've heard Democrats do it if it's patriotic to pay taxes.
Yeah.
It's patriotic. It's
Right.
If you're a patriot, you wish to pay taxes.
That's right.
Patriot. Yeah. Now, you've heard it on a national level.
Right. Yeah.
I've never heard it on a state level.
No.
I've never heard it. This is the first time that you should be, and then telling the people that have left because of the taxes, trying to communicate the message, if you're a true New York patriot, you'll come back from Florida and you will pay the taxes so we can have the generous benefits that we have here in New York State.
I see it all the time. I see it, that kind of patriotism here in Texas. I was at a tractor supply company, and I saw a guy wearing, a hat with an American flag. He steps up and he says, I don't want to pay 8.25%. I want to pay 20% sales tax. I want to pay more because I'm a patriot. I see it all the time.
Well, that's the thing, though. Whenever the Democrats do that on the national level, if you're a true patriot, you would love paying. You would celebrate every month or every year, whatever, paying your taxes. It would be something that would be wonderful, yet they can never find anybody who really is voluntarily paying more in taxes.
That's right.
And when that comes up to these people who say that no, we should be willing to do it, people will say, well, will you do it? Well, no, everybody should do it.
Right.
I shouldn't be forced to do it alone.
Well,
but you just said there's a moral good to doing it.
Right.
Why aren't you willing to do it if there's a moral good to doing it?
Right.
It's so much fun dealing with these insane people.
Remember Warren Buffett was asked on, I think it was on CNBC. Oh, there is a way for you to pay voluntarily, pay more. Well, no, we should be compelled by law.
By government.
Oh, I see. That's how patriotism works.
Oh, my gosh.
You should be compelled by law. So, Gary, kids should be compelled by law to stand for the national anthem. Let's see what the liberals do about that. By law. We'll arrest your 6-year-old for not standing during the national anthem. And the Pledge of Allegiance at school, you're going to have to also, you'll go to jail. First grade. I say pre-K. Let's start them early.
Hard labor.
Compelled by law. Exactly. I've been trying to get that worked in for a long time. I think kids should be doing more of their share.
I like that, though. You should be compelled.
That's right.
If you should be compelled because it's a moral, patriotic thing to pay taxes, and so you should be mandated to pay more because it's the patriotic thing to do, where we take your property.
Right.
Well, what's more important, property rights or freedom of speech rights?
Yeah, exactly.
Or the First Amendment,
right,
where government can't compel your speech.
Right.
What's more important?
Right.
I like that. It's a great comparison. I like that. It's patriotism.
You should be compelled by law to be a patriot.
Yes, exactly.
We're all for that.
Yes.
Come out with your flags up. Yeah.
Oh, that was just.
I love it.
Now, see, why didn't she bring up Texas? Now, I know no more people are going from New York to Florida.
Well,
we're getting more.
95 is a straight shot, kind of. You know what I mean? It's very busy
because
southbound 95. Oof.
Well, did she figure? She goes, look, all the old codgers, they all go. Old codgers.
Yeah,
I should be talking like.
Well,
there's
in
my
a few
mind,
people older than you left in the world.
In my mind, I think I'm 18.
Yeah,
But it's like we can guilt the old codgers who go to Florida, the rich old people that go to Florida. Well, we might be able to compel them to come back. We tried it before. If they go to Texas, we can't compel them to come back.
Yeah, that's real freedom. We can't get them back from Texas.
Oh, my God.
I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, she's from where I'm from. She's from West New York.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But, I mean, seriously, and she has a child mentality.
Oh, no, she does. She really does.
She sounds like a child speaking.
She also has a little bit of that Elizabeth Warren kind of thing.
Whine?
But not only does she sound like a child, she sounds like she's trying to compel other children.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, okay. No, she's not a child. She's a kindergarten teacher.
That's it.
Okay,
she thinks
I was
she's
wrong.
talking to children.
Okay, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Some of you patriotic children who said the Pledge of Allegiance, we want you to compel all the other ones to get in line. Or no ice cream for you.
They were held captive. They were held captive.
They were held captive.
I mean, and then we got to get to the
that's the best ending right there.
To the end of that audio cut where she said that they were held captive in New York.
Captive. It's like Snake Plissken was real.
It's like,
dude.
My God.
Yeah.
We criticize people all the time for not thinking before they speak, Republicans and Democrats.
They were held captive.
But Democrats just...
They were held captive.
And
they were. How about this? They were incentivized to work in New York. How's that? Was that hard?
Yes. It's like, do a little bit of homework before you go out and try to make an argument.
Held captive. That's how a liberal mind thinks, though. They were held captive. How can we do that again?
We need to hold these people captive. And so that's really going to get, we'd like you to come back if you're rich from Florida, and it's the patriotic thing to do for us to hold you captive in New York.
That's right.
And if you see, for example, in California, that's what they're trying to do. Well, that's not working. They won't voluntarily come back. We know if they leave, they're not going to voluntarily come back to be held captive. So let's pass a tax law now and make it retroactive.
Right. Yeah,
so we can still get them if we can't hold them captive. Look, that's their argument.
Yeah. Here's the deal. For you rich people, you're going to have to sneak out of New York now. What you do is you find one, if you can, a 91 Chevy Cavalier. Okay? You just pack as much as you can in that. Who cares? You're a billionaire.
A Corvair.
A Corvair. Yeah. A Chevette. Yeah, it makes you think you have a vet, but you don't really have a vet. You have a Chevette. And it's a hatchback, so it's easier to pack. And then drive. And keep in mind, when you're southbound 95 and you're leaving the state of New York, those troopers, that's not a speed trap. They're there to keep you captive. That's their job. Oh, my gosh.
Have they voted yet on a border wall for New York?
Yeah. No, I'm
Hochul,
telling you, it's going to be.
Are they
Escape from New York, the movie, all over again? It's going to be. And what current president, is from New York? That would also need to be held captive because he's built his empire in the Empire State. He would be in the movie. Who's it? Donald Pleasant. Donald Pleasance, what was his name? That played the. I think he played the president.
Oh, the president
in that movie. I think.
Well, the president would be
Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken. That's all I remember.
Right. Well, they could call it the Snake Plissken Act.
Yeah.
Build a wall around New York.
Yeah, that's it.
And so and New York City, so the rich can't get out. It's not to keep people from coming in. It's to keep people from leaving.
Right.
Because if you think about it, that's what that's the whole point. We need you here. The whole thing with the retroactive billionaires tax.
Yeah.
In
California.
In California, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they make it retroactive because they're trying to put up a virtual wall.
Right.
Oh my God. I mean, that's like I said. The show today is going to be playing audio cuts and then discussing because it's like we've got. It was just one of those days where I just went. Okay, let's just do this for a change. Let's just start with the audio cuts.
Exactly.
We don't even have to lead, and we don't have to lead with the monologue. Let them lead with their monologues.
Right. Yeah.
And, man, we have more coming up. Because the Democrats on the voter ID, they don't have any arguments anymore.
They
the
don't.
arguments. I have never. This could again. Maybe I could go back and find another day in the decades that I've done this job and find a day where there were worse or better audio cuts depending on you're looking at it. Well, if you're trying to make an argument. It's horrible for the Democrats what they did today, but I can't remember a day where I just went, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
More to come.
Yeah.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Democrats make it too easy. All right, let's go to the hearings yesterday. Democrat Senator Elisa Slotkin claiming that President stole the election. Which election, we're not sure because she wasn't specific. And this is all about ICE at polling places. Okay, here we go.
All right.
So I would just say if we ever get to the point where you are being asked to put armed ICE officers at polling locations, we have lost the plot as a country. We have fundamentally lost it. And until I hear someone tell me that this man, President Trump, will actually allow us to have a free and fair election, there is zero trust here, and I cannot trust that he won't try and steal it again.
Again. Just keep it going. The Russian hoax is never dead.
Well, I don't think she means, does she mean 2016 or does she mean 2024?
I guess we'd have to ask her, right?
We don't know. But the argument, the entire thing, and somebody brought that up, and there is no plan. There is no plan to put ICE agents at polling places.
No.
They've even said that, and I think Mark Wayne Mullen yesterday said, well, it's not out of the question if illegals were going to vote and states were allowing them to do that. But the whole point is when they go, that would be horrible if that happened. When I go to my polling place, there have been police officers at my polling place outside. When I go to my polling place, which is a school, there's always the school police officers there. Now, they don't bother anybody. But why would you have, it's not going to happen, but why would you have it? It's the argument of why would you have ICE agents if you had them there, armed or not armed? Why would they be there?
To enforce the law, to look for people who are possibly illegally in this country and are trying to vote.
Right.
It's the only reason you would have them there.
I mean, the fact is...
Not to police in any way any other person that is there.
Right.
It would be about enforcing
the
law.
If Democrats say that there is no fraud, there's hardly any fraud and illegals don't vote.
Yeah. What are they worried about?
They'd want the ICE officers there because they're not out.
Right. They'll have nothing to do, right?
Where illegal immigrants are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Relief Factor Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when you choose. You know, I saw Jonathan Turley getting back to Hochul because that was just so incredibly nuts.
Yeah.
Is when she said, and what she was telling some of the people of New York that have left, not only to come back, but if you have friends that live in Florida, go down and convince them to come back,
right,
because of New York patriotism.
Yeah,
which is just mind-boggling. But Jonathan Turley said, she's just following what Cuba's doing. Cuba's largest newspaper has been telling people that have left Cuba and gone to the United States,
come back and bring oil.
To come back and bring money. You know, in the communist government's telling people that have left, you know, please come back. She goes, so she's just doing what Cuba's doing. Like, oh,
that's brilliant. That's absolutely true. Oh my gosh,
you can't make this up. And
that's funny.
You know, and one of the things that we've been talking about, and by the way, we're still looking. We cannot find the audio cut of Senator Blumenthal saying that, and it's all over social media. And Republicans and conservatives, if you put out something in a quote, you should have an audio cut or the text and the source to back it up. Don't do what the Democrats do.
Right.
But it's all over, and it's all Republican sources that are talking about Blumenthal saying that he doesn't know where to find his birth certificate. And we said, we saw that yesterday. We didn't, we jumped on it, but we said we don't know whether it's accurate or not.
Right.
We hope it is accurate because then it would mirror what you're getting from Senator Bernie Sanders and Governor Newsom.
Right.
And it's the point of where Democrats are trying to play stupid. You know, they've realized they can't win the voter ID.
Right.
They can't win voter ID anymore by stating that minorities and women, don't know how to do the simple tasks that everybody else can do, because that's viewed as racist and sexist. And that's what they got in response from conservative women and conservative minorities.
Right.
Saying, wait a minute, we're not idiots. We can do it. If everybody else does it, we can do it.
Right.
These are simple tasks that anybody can do to vote. And to protect our voting system, that should be a good thing to do. And so they realize, okay, we're being accused of being sexist and racist. Now, that doesn't seem to stop them with the radical transgender movement for some reason. But it looks like they've moved to a different strategy, which is let's all pretend that we're all stupid. Let's be the stupid idiot leader party, the stupid idiot party, and the leaders of the stupid idiot party that leads the stupid idiot voters that vote for us.
Yes.
That's what now we're not calling them stupid idiots. That's what the Democrats in charge. That's what Newsom is doing. That's what Bernie Sanders is doing. And what some claim Senator Blumenthal is doing, even though we cannot find the source of that was appearing on social media.
Right.
And so that's one of their new strategies. Let's all pretend that we're stupid.
Right.
And that way we can say that we're all victims. We're all victims because we're stupid. We don't know how to do the basic things in life that normal people can do. And so the oppressor would be the Republicans that say you should be able to stand on your own and do simple tasks.
Yeah. And imagine the meeting. How do we connect with the real people, with the folks? I guess we're going to have to pretend to be stupid.
Yeah. We're all a bunch of
because they're stupid,
right.
So let's be stupid.
Right. So don't vote for the candidate who says you're not stupid and you should be able to do simple tasks. Vote for the candidate that is just like you, a stupid idiot.
That's right.
And so that's one narrative we've seen in the last couple of weeks. The other one, this one's been around for a while, is not making any sense. It's like, we don't know where you're going with this. It doesn't make any sense. We call this the putty narrative from Democrats, putty from Seinfeld. And there was a scene where Elaine's in an argument with them, and Putty's just basically doing the, I know you are, but what am I? Or, that kind of argument.
Right.
And she looks it doesn't, you're not even making sense. It doesn't even apply to what we're talking about at all. I don't know where you're going. And this is one of those moments from Jamie Raskin and Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
Where Jamie Raskin first comes out and talks about the fact that the founding fathers, Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson, were undocumented immigrants.
Right.
All right? Here we go. Here's this back and forth. And at the end, you're just like, what's your point? I don't know what it doesn't even apply to this. Here we go. All right. Make sure the volume's up high because I think this audio might be a little low. I call it video because I'm looking at the video. Here we go.
Invoking Tom Paine, who was an undocumented immigrant who came to this land in 1774, 2 years before the Revolution, and wrote Common Sense.
The member said, I think his opening sentence was, he said Thomas Paine was an illegal immigrant. My understanding was Mr. Paine was born in the UK, came to America, then a British colony in 1774. So I was just struggling to figure out how he was.
Oh, I didn't say he was an illegal immigrant. I said he was an undocumented immigrant, just like Thomas Jefferson's family was. Most of our ancestors did not arrive here with documents.
There's a pause going,
Wow.
what's the point?
Wow. What?
I'm not saying he was illegal. I'm saying he's undocumented. That's what an undocumented immigrant is. It's an illegal immigrant.
Yes.
I'm waiting for them to pull in Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
To do the caveman the caveman who came to the United States.
Yeah.
Back 10,000 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know your modern documentation ways.
Cavemen weren't documented, and so we shouldn't have to be documented
That's
today
right.
because cavemen weren't.
Right. Christopher Columbus, no documents. None. Not even one.
It's absolutely
You know what else
crazy.
he didn't have, Gary? An ID to vote. Didn't need it. Just carry this thing on.
There are no gun rights. When the first caveman...
That's right.
When the first caveman walked along with the dinosaurs... Now, we're not sure whether it was complete man or ape man, again, coming from the Democrat point of view, but they did not have guns. There were no gun rights. There should be no gun rights now.
No free speech rights. They couldn't even speak. They would only grunt. And if you grunted wrong, they would club you over the head. There's evidence of it. Somewhere. Probably. Seriously. I mean, this is just like having a teenager.
I know.
You just, it's that moment where you go, you know what? You probably need to just go to your room. You need some quiet time. Don't talk anymore. My gosh. Yeah. I didn't say illegal. I said undocumented.
Yeah.
Also didn't have an ID. Because it's hard to get. Everybody knows.
And I was waiting for this one.
He didn't have a cell phone or nothing.
And it really doesn't matter. That's why we don't need ICE. And when you think about it, when you had many of the founding fathers, either come to America, or when any ships came to America, there was no TSA.
That's right.
We don't need the TSA people working because there was no TSA back in 1776.
They didn't even have pilots for their planes.
Right. God.
No, I
don't even.
It really makes my head hurt, the stupidity.
And this is where we get to the point of where it's like, well, you can't say anymore. You can't sit there and say, well, I'm in the middle and we need to compromise. Compromise on what?
What?
As we've said over and over again, Where is the compromising? How do you compromise with insanity? How do you compromise with people that can't even make a coherent sentence or can't come up with a coherent idea? I mean, was Raskin, you think Raskin was sitting there and they went, oh, wait a minute. And all the Democrats are sitting there. One of the things we always talk about is when any stupid decision is made. You know, the Bud Light decision. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting around the table in the conference room trying to come up with ideas. And so you sit there and you think, did he workshop this?
Oh, no, you know he did.
Were they sitting in a room going, we got the Republicans now. Let's say that Thomas Jefferson and many of the founding fathers did not have documents to prove at that point that they were citizens of the United States back 260 years ago.
I mean, forget that one document they all signed together. Forget that one. But no other documents, just that one. And they made that one up.
And Raskin's going, wow, we got him.
Yeah.
And I'd be sitting in that meeting going,
don't say that out loud to anyone ever. That's what I would say to him. Don't ever say that again.
Are you macrodosing?
Yeah, there's something going on.
Are you macrodosing mushrooms now? What's going on?
Yeah.
You think that's a win?
Yeah. It's bizarre.
If I was in Congress, I'd pull these people aside and go, are you an idiot or what? It's like, well, no, we need to be civil. How can you be civil with insanity?
Yeah, that's absolute over the top. It's insanity. It's an ignorant insanity. Ignorance fueled insanity. That's what that is.
Wow. So, yeah, that's... Wanted to play a few audio cuts here to start the show of just, why it's so easy to do this show.
George Washington didn't have an Air Force One. Why are we killing the planet with this huge plane? Seriously. I mean, really?
Yeah. George, he only had that little canoe to cross the Potomac.
That's right. Right. A kayak.
Canoe Force.
He stood up on a kayak.
Canoe Force One.
That's right. On Christmas Day. Wow. That's just insanity. It is so ignorant. It's a whole new level of ignorance. It really is.
I know.
And they think they think everybody, because in that meeting, at the end of that workshopping, they all went, oh, this is brilliant.
Brilliant, Jamie. Brilliant.
The founding fathers didn't have documents. How about the one they signed together? Shut up. Who let him in? Oh, my gosh. I mean,
Canoe Force One.
Yeah. It's just insanity. Insanity.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Crony, and I'm Gary McNamara. It's getting so bad for Democrats where even CNN is fact-checking them live, on voter ID. Here's Chuck Schumer. All right, here we go. All right, this is another one.
Okay.
Voter suppression. That is what the Republican Senate is wasting our time on. Pushing a voter suppression bill that most Americans do not support. A bill that appeals to only the most fringe element of the MAGA base.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
And, and that was, as you're speaking, they're in the corner.
Yeah.
Harry Enton's in the corner there, the little thing in the picture of the corner of him.
Yeah.
And it's just like CNN fact-checking you live now because it's like they can't make an argument, so they make an argument that holds no water with the vast majority of the public.
And it's, again, there's only one reason they don't want this, and it's fraud.
Fraud. They want fraud.
They want fraud in elections. They want that fraud to go undetected because you put voter ID into play, and it becomes nearly impossible, not impossible, but nearly impossible to commit fraud. You cut fraud way, way down, and they can't have that.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Relief Factor Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome to the show. I read a really interesting article yesterday. I think it was at foreignpolicy.com, the website. And it was just really interesting. It was behind a paywall. I was able to get to it. I wasn't able to print it out. I had it on my phone, but I can do it. But I lost it here on my phone. I was just looking for it right now, and it's like, oh, no, I went to another story and lost it. And I don't know if I can get back through the paywall again. But it was really interesting because it talked about a lot of what we said about the war against the Iranian regime. And it talked about the fact that, destroying the regime, that we've been tremendously successful in degrading their ability to project any type of military power.
Yeah.
And they believe that will, that will be done successfully. But they get into, once you do that, what is the key? Because I'm sure you've seen it like I have on social media, people claiming that they're talking to people in Iran that say, we're just sitting here waiting for this to end. We're not going out. We're not doing anything. It's not time to do it. We want the bombing to continue. You've seen a lot of things like that. And I would think that probably they're true. Because from what I know about the Iranian people, they don't like the regime. The majority don't. The people that are involved in the infrastructure of, I guess, the regime or the former regime, whatever state it's in right now, might still be loyal, but there would probably come to a point where you're like, okay, it's not worth it anymore. We either go to one side or another. But they talked about the fact of everything that we've talked about. Would a civil war get things done? If you have a civil war, that could go on and that could spread. Refugees, everything, that could be a nightmare. You could get a regime. They talked about the possibilities, all the different possibilities. The other possibility would be that the regime changes, but is just as brutal. They don't get rid of the Islamic radicalism in there. It's still a theocracy, which just is led by different people, but still just as brutal, maybe even more brutal after this. That's a possibility.
Right.
The other possibility is you get a theocracy or a dictatorship that isn't as brutal, has more support of the people because they're not brutal, promises change, may never get there, but they realize it's an exercise in futility to challenge the United States and Israel. Okay? These are all possibilities. All right? And the other one is the people do revolt. And it's like, but what happens if the people revolt? What happens if the people go to the streets and the security forces still have their weapons? Because that's the point. You don't need large weapons if the population is unarmed.
Right.
And it's like, what do you do then next? Well, what you're going to need to do, and the United States and Israel has not said they're going to do that, is if they attack the population, because you have absolutely no worry about defenses in air power. You can use drones. You can actually get specific, and you can follow. If, for example, there's a gathering and you see the police come out and start shooting, as the people back off, you can take out with the drone any of those people there.
Yeah.
Excuse me, any of the security forces out there that are doing it. And if you don't do that, there's a great unknown as how you're going to have a successful evolution from the regime to what you want, which the most optimistic thing you would want would be right now, it seems, to have the former Shah and his government, the former Shah's son in power with the transition government, but security would be there. Who provides the security for that? How do you get to that point? The only way you get to that point is when the people start protesting and going out into the streets. The U.S. and Israel is there to kill any of the police forces that are attempting to put down the popular revolt at that point.
Yeah, right.
And that gets complicated.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing, and they made the same points that we were making. I'm not concerned at all. I mean, it was stupid when you got the media out there saying, "Are we winning?" Of course we're winning.
Yeah, I don't at this point, the score is clearly us everything, them nothing. We've eliminated so much of their ability and so much of their leadership. I'm not concerned, are we winning? And I think the president is likely, it sounds like, especially this week, is looking at the long game. That's what I've always looked at in a situation like this, because I'm, absolutely clueless because I don't have the intel. I don't have the information in front of me. But you get down to the basics of everything you just laid out, right? We know of the vacuums created in other nations when we had a presence, Iraq, and then we got out. But this is totally different. Afghanistan, totally different. This is totally different. And what's different is we have Middle East countries now that are more accepting of what we're doing. And Iran's attack on a couple of more of those countries yesterday, or two more attacks on a couple of those countries yesterday, was further cementing that position, I believe. I also believe that there's likely this window that the administration sees and says, all right, look, we need to make sure that we get this done and complete this mission. And we can't, as the president said the other day, I don't want to be back here in 2 years. But you also know that the clock is ticking when it comes to the confidence of those other Middle Eastern nations. They're looking at this, and if you don't have the follow-through and they lose confidence in you, then there's no telling where they stand in the future. And I think everything hinges on the fact that that the U.S. and Israel have to complete the mission. And again, it's not that there's a clock on it, but you do have a certain window that you're going to have to meet, I think, to keep that confidence in the Middle East. Or I'm totally wrong on that, and the confidence is there because they know there's no way. The other option is, right, in the binary choice, the other option is, well, we let Iran come back. And for them, those other Middle Eastern countries, I think that is a non-starter. That cannot happen.
If you get, I saw a couple of hours ago that the Saudi foreign minister was out there saying, we're going to protect, our energy.
Yeah.
And there's a thought process that they maybe get a lot more involved, or maybe more involved than they are right now. And if Saudi gets involved, then we have said probably one of the things that the president looks at. And the reason that it seems like everything has changed since last weekend, and I say everything has changed not in the war, but in the narrative. There is no hemming and hawing. It's like, well, we're going to get out as soon as possible, but we're going to complete the job.
Right.
And that seems to have been made last weekend. And we're saying, there is the thought out there, but Europe isn't cooperating. But then I saw the head of NATO saying, no, the allies are getting involved to keep this straight. We have to. We have no choice. We have to get involved. This is about our security also.
Right.
So it also may be, it's really interesting because you seem to have more vocal support from the Middle Eastern nations that want this, which is why we asked the question, is that why the president is much more confident in the messaging that we're going to complete, the entire job to get peace in the Middle East, because that's the goal, peace in the Middle East, because he's getting that support from the Middle Eastern countries. And even though there's vocal opposition from European countries, when it comes to NATO, like I said a couple of hours ago or yesterday when the NATO had said that, no, we'll be involved in this. We have no choice. We've got to get involved in making sure that the strait is clear, and and we support the United States on this. So there's so much, I don't know whether it's social media or not, but that's why you and I tend not to pay attention a lot of times to what's first said. And I don't know, maybe in the age of social media, it's not what you say, but what you actually do. And we'll see what happens here.
Right.
But, and so in this article I was reading from foreignpolicy.com, they were stating, if we're not going to go in and put 500,000 ground troops on there to make sure that there's that there's peace.
Right.
But if you get an interim government in and you have special forces from the Israelis and the United States with the security zone around the nuclear stuff, that you've got that taken care of, which you might have to do, then the United States and Israel, if the security forces start attacking the population, you continue to attack them with air power and drones. You can be much more precise with drones. If they start attacking, especially in Tehran, you can make a statement, and then you can follow with drones. You can follow them back.
Right.
Whoever these people are, you can do it. It may take a while, but in the minds of the American public, if the protests are out there and you see that, and then you see, well, the interim government is back, even though these things are popping up and the police are doing it, the American public will be much for using our technology at that point to get rid of the people who are attacking the unarmed population who wants a democracy.
Right. Yeah.
But it's still going to be complicated, and it could go on for a long time. So if you look at those choices, really like 3 or 4 out of the, 2 of the choices would be preferable, and that would be you still get a dictatorship that does not want to challenge the United States, or you start on the road to freedom with the interim government.
Right.
Those would be the only 2 that you could possibly accept.
Right.
Because anything else could be an absolute disaster.
Right.
And, the point that's being made is, well, they're totally unprepared for that. Are they, or do they have a plan? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big unknown.
Just because they haven't said yet doesn't mean they haven't, said, okay, what do we do afterwards?
Right.
How do we do it? How do we protect the Iranian people at that point? Because that's key. But that is that a hard job with the technology that we have? If there's no air defenses, and one of the other things they talked about is, at that point, you can use regular planes. There are no air defenses. There's nothing that they can do. But you can use drones. You can use drones to get absolutely precise. All right, we know what the technology is. Here come the security forces. Where do they come from?
Right.
Blow it all to hell.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because no one's talked really about what do you do, and that's what I've been searching for. Who are the military people out there saying, what possibly could we do? And they talked about the air power in Libya helped overthrow it, even though it might not have been, even some of the ex-military people were part of that. They said, but air power actually helped change that. And they said, air power itself, doesn't doesn't give you the ultimate victory that you want all the time, but it gives you a lot more than it did even 30 years ago.
It gives you a greater dominance in today's day, in today's age. That's, something that, again, if you look at that technology, and we're still using, the Predator is considered, an ancient drone. It's slow.
Yeah.
And you think about it,
and too big,
and it's costly.
Right.
And you look at what they have been using, what Iran has been using, what's being used in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Iran manufactures some of those drones, and they come at a much smaller cost, like $20,000 a piece. Whereas our interceptors for those drones are somewhere in the neighborhood of about $4 million each. So they just don't make. There's not a greater list of them on the budget, and the question is, can we completely break the will? This is what has to happen. Break the will of any of those individuals who are capable of an uprising if there is a transition at any point. Because there's always going to be loyalists, and there will probably be loyalists for years. They might do some smaller attacks, but what you're looking for is an organized group of individuals, a core that is loyal to the regime, to basically lurk in the shadows until the right moment. And that's the question. Can you break that will? And I think with time you can. I don't know how much time that would be.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Tips to get your lawn ready for spring and summer, courtesy of Carl Schimenti of Cornell University Extension. First,
what is your sort of goal or expectation of the lawn?
Maybe a rich, dense lawn for landscaping, perhaps full cover to allow a place to sit on the lawn.
So setting your goal is going to dictate then how much I mow, how much I fertilize, if I need to irrigate or not, what sort of seed I use.
Schimenti says timing is everything related to lawn care. For example, it may still be too early to mow your lawn, yet you have the itch to do something. In addition, some states, counties, or municipalities have regulations regarding when fertilizer can be applied. He says one thing a lawn owner can do.
Think about seed. Seed would be the number one thing. You can almost always throw some seed if you pick the right varieties. That's a really good sort of long-term solution to having a healthy lawn.
Another key consideration for your lawn care, knowing the type of soil you have. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And so we're just talking about, what do you do, what happens in Iran after the major military exercises are over? What do you precisely do? And I'm bringing up a column that I read in foreignpolicy.com that was looking at all the different options out there. But they did mention Afghanistan and talked about the model in Afghanistan, which may be the model that you want to do.
Yeah.
You have a presence, you have a presence in there somehow. But again, they made the case that Afghanistan is not Iran to begin with either. You don't have you don't have tens of millions of people that hate the regime and want change. They said, but if you look at the model in Afghanistan, we had very little number of troops over there. We hardly had any casualties at all.
Right.
It was and the way that was set up actually worked, which is why the generals wanted to stay. And it was like, well, no, we need to pull out because we can't have a forever war. Well, it really wasn't a forever war over there. That was going on between the United States. You had different factions going at it, but basically we had the air base, and it was moving in the right direction with very little loss of life of human casualties with the United States. The one thing here, though, that they talked about is the pounding of the regime, where when somebody takes over, the next one is killed, the next one is killed, and the level of paranoia inside of the regime.
You're trying to break the will.
And that's what you want to continue to do, though.
Right.
Even when you get to the point of, all right, the population can come out, and they come out, that the security forces are so paranoid that you do anything, you're next, and we've taken out 10 levels of government,
right?
And somebody who was dead who was your leader before, you're next.
Right.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up here in just a minute and a half, other scenarios after the major military exercises are done in Iran against the Iran regime. What next?
Gary, I keep anticipating it. The pain when you stand up or get up to walk after you sat down and you've been sitting for a long time, but it's just not there anymore. I talked about the old man grunt.
Grunt.
You stand up, or when you're sitting down, I don't have that. Now, I still grunt because, I just want people to feel bad for me. But thanks to Relief Factor, I don't have that pain. I've been taking Relief Factor for a while now, and I just absolutely love it. I take it every day. I want you to experience the great benefits from Relief Factor. 100% drug-free, research-based formula. It was created to help your body's natural inflammatory response function. 4 key ingredients. I've talked to Dr. Mixon, the man behind Relief Factor, and he is on a mission, and I am too since I've been taking it. And here's how we get you started. Relief Factor's 3-week quick start, just $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Relieffactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. Use Red Eye at the drop-down for your 3-week quick start at $19.95.
Eric, when we talk about the different scenarios, something that we brought up yesterday, that after the war against the regime is over, because that's what it is, to get rid of the regime in Iran, what next? And you and I talked about the fact that, you hear these things, and the president said it, they're willing to negotiate to end the war, but we're not done yet. What does that mean? Who are you negotiating with?
Yeah, right.
Who has the clout to end the war?
Right.
Now that, that the quote, I've always hated saying it, but that's the title, quote, the supreme leader is gone, and the his son, incapacitated. Nobody's seen him actually, and so you really don't get any type of communication as to what the leadership is. You and I've wondered, and we're not going to know until this is all over. Well, who are they negotiating with now? And I've seen on, people talk about, that's sort of what happened in World War II with Japan. I think Japan was a completely different ballgame. When you talked about Emperor Hirohito at the end, who said, okay, lay down the arms, he was viewed as a godlike figure by the population.
Well, and how does that come to be? If you can build that in an age where there isn't such transparency thanks to technology, right?
Right.
You can build that essentially, the don't look behind the curtains thing. If you build that image, then you can maintain that kind of power. I do think the regime, the Ayatollahs who have been in power in Iran, it is that they also do it through threats. But I think what we're seeing now is, in part, this technology that creates a greater transparency of shouldn't have to, and I mean by the people of Iran, we shouldn't have to live this way. And I think that's the difference.
Right. Well, I just don't think it's a completely different. It's so far apples and oranges.
Sure. Yes.
I don't think you can make the same scenario for Japan in World War II with Hirohito. By the way, who approved, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, but was still at the end of the war worshipped as a god. And we know a lot of the generals didn't want to end the war, and he just said no, it's ended. Then post World War II. MacArthur decided we're not gonna try him as for war crimes, and that in itself was, I think, an understanding by MacArthur, probably still debated to this time, that the goal at that point is not to execute one man; it is to get Japan to be a democracy. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about Japan, and way back then, that was an absolute approved dictatorship in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people all approved it. It was godlike. It was you think about it. You think about Japan, and my God, could you imagine? It's like after the bombs were dropped and the Allies going, how the hell are we gonna contain this? The emperor has to surrender. But when he did, my father was over there just a month after, is when he went over. There was no problem because it was the godlike status of the emperor, so they didn't charge him with war crimes. Then of course in 46 he renounced his divine status, and then they had a new constitution by 47, and it was a symbolic monarch from that point, and now you have a totally viable democracy in a place that worshipped another human being as a god.
Right.
And so I don't think you can compare the two at all, because who are you dealing with? Who has power? We have no idea whether the Ayatollah's son, even if none of the rumors are true, and he is healthy, and took and took charge, and then he said, "Okay, unconditional surrender, and I'm being escorted out of the country."
Right.
I don't know if you have. I don't know if he has any clout to convince anybody else inside the regime, any of the mullahs, to agree with him.
That's similar to the situation in Venezuela. You had the opposition to Maduro that the U.S. had loved to have, basically been in the place to take over, but she didn't have control of their forces. She didn't have control of their oil production. She basically had no control, no leadership, no loyalty. And then Maduro's second in charge. By the end of the day, remember how quickly that turned around. This is a very different situation. But it's similar in that the new Ayatollah, first of all, if he's still alive, the question is, does he carry clout? Because remember, his own father, and it was widely known, his own father didn't want him to take over. So those who would, I don't know who was left that would give the current Ayatollah any clout, basically. I'm just saying I don't know. There could be some left in the regime, but I think if there's any left in the regime when it comes to loyalty to the top, they likely don't give that confidence to him.
Well, I think there may be two scenarios here. If the Ayatollah's son took charge and could gain control, I believe the mullahs would support him, especially if he would keep the same thing going. What I don't know is if, and this is all hypothetically, he could be dead.
Yeah.
But if he became the viable leader and decided and said unconditional surrender, that's where I doubt that he would have support from the regime, whatever from the regime is left at that particular point. which is why, what are you negotiating? Who are you negotiating with? And that's why it's different from Japan. And like I said, I think it's also different from that if he was still alive and we said, okay, you can just continue, you can continue your regime and we're out of it. But if you do anything, we're going to bomb the hell out of you again if you attempt to have your nuclear program go back again. I think the mullahs would support him on it. It's the opposite that I don't think he would have the support for, or he might not have the support for, or I question what the support would be if he said unconditional surrender. So I don't know what you're negotiating if you're the United States with whomever you're negotiating with, because you have no idea whether they have any power or not.
Yeah.
The one thing that I find fascinating is how quickly we know who's dead. That there are sources there that are giving information to the Israelis and Americans like you can't believe. Or we've got the CIA and the Mossad in there so deep, so far in there that that we know exactly who's alive and who's dead. And if we know that, they know that inside, because they're like, my God, anybody who gets to any position of power or speaks out at all, they're gone. Within a day or two, they're dead. That kind of paranoia, week in and week out. And you can even stop once you decimate to the point where they've got nothing really to shoot anymore at you, and, they can't take out your, there is no ability for them to take out any of your air power. Well, then you have the ability, even if not, you don't have a major war going on or major military exercises going on, to still keep that paranoia from what's left of the regime day in and day out, without massive explosions or what we've seen, the last 2.5 weeks. It's not the same thing. You've decimated them. They can't attack back. And then at that point, it's like, you just continue with the paranoia. You kill anybody in that regime. That's the reality of if you want the public to come out and say, we want to reclaim this country and have an interim government in there, that's probably what you're going to have to do. And it seems like that's what they're doing up to this point. How long will they go with that?
Well, and what is the next big move? Because, and again, I'm asking, I don't know, but there is that, if you're talking about getting into a transition period, well, transition has to happen fairly quickly. With the exception of the new Ayatollah saying, okay, I give up. Let me just live. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. But what's that next big step for that big shift in the confidence, for the confidence of the people in Iran, the citizens of Iran? Because they have to be confident that the regime is never coming back, that the roots have been killed, and that it's never coming back, and it's okay for me to express my loyalty to basically a new day, a new government, whatever that's going to be, without the regime.
And from what I've seen, the communications that I've seen from people that claim they're talking to regular citizens over there, they understand that there's still a long way to go after this, and that still there are going to be civilians that will be killed after this, but it'll be manageable for them to be able to take over the country and get what they want. That is as long as that hope is there. But from what I can see from all the communications that I've seen that seem to be credible, and again, we're in a war, so who knows what's credible or not. But if it is true that the masses, the tens of millions of people, are staying in their homes and following exactly what Trump is telling them to do, if that is what's going on, and it's true that they love it when they hear the explosions, that they want the explosions to continue day in and day out, Because when they stop, there's going to be that big question, is it time? And are we going to be the ones that are going to be the sacrificial lambs in order to get to where we wish to be?
Right.
And so I thought the arguing has been stupid from the left. Oh, we're not winning the war. Or Iran's winning it was military.
No.
Ridiculous.
No, not even close.
It's what do you do when you you take away 99.9% of their ability to strike outside the country? It's what do you do then? We are Red Eye Radio.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And that's why, by the way, everything we've talked about here the last half hour or so about the different possibilities of what the United States and Israel will have to do after all the military exercises are done is why you hear the Democrats saying, he's got no plan now. He's got no plan. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Because that's what you do next is you go to the unknown. It's very tough to come out and say that, militarily speaking, we're losing the war.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's the dumbest thing in the world. Of course we're not, and you can't sell that to the public. The public knows that isn't true. It's can you evolve to what your goal is, which the president has stated, which is the Iranian people taking over and moving towards a democracy.
Right.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.